Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session Powering Up with .NET. On today's session, we will have Samson with us. So a little bit about Microsoft Reactor. What is Microsoft Reactor? We are a community space where startups and developers meet, learn, and connect with each other with a diverse mix of hands-on workshop, training, and live events. We have 10 physical locations around the world to help entrepreneurs and startups build on AI, help community of developments learn more about technology. If you scan the QR code, you can reach and sign up to our newsletter to get all the information about new events, workshops, webinars, and everything around the world. A little bit about Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn is a hub for developers to learn and train and elevate your developments. You can scan the QR code here and start your own learning process. As well, we have the AI Learning Hub, where you can learn a lot more about anything related to AI, start your AI journey. You can also scan the QR code here to start learning and learn more. A little bit about our code of contact for the session today. Please try to be aware of others, friendly and patient, welcoming and respectful, and kind to others. So I'm happy to present Samson that will have today's session. And it's to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. I am Samson Amdugo. I am a software engineer at Green Places and the Microsoft MVP. So, for today's session, we're going to be talking about streamlining .NET development with .NET Aspire. So, what exactly is .NET Aspire? So, .NET Aspire is a tool that enables seamless development of observable production ready and distributed applications. It makes it easy to set up locally. And let's look at some of the features of the .NET Aspire. So here we have service defaults, we have orchestration, we have service discovery, we have integrations, we have deployments, we have the wonderful dashboard, and finally, last on the list is custom resource commands. So let's do a bit of explaining for each point. So service default is just an extension in the .NET Aspire that offers built-in login metrics and tracing to monitor application health. And the next thing we have here is orchestration. So .NET Aspire helps to manage life cycles of your system components, your application components, and it also helps enable seamless communication between the microservices. Then the next thing on the list is service discovery. What exactly does this mean? So in the context of .NET Aspire, service discovery is just about detecting available components, knowing the systems that are connected together, and the service discovery feature in .NET Aspire also supports load balancing and fault tolerance. And next on the list is integration. So in .NET Aspire, when you hear integrations, what should come to your mind is, special NuGet packages that helps provide connectors for databases, messaging queues, cache system, and it even goes further by, providing support for you to create your own custom integrations. Maybe you have a custom workload or system that you want to add into the .NET Aspire ecosystem. With custom integrations, you could have that running. And then we have here on the list deployment. So .NET Aspire makes deployment to be easy in the sense that it supports continuous integration and continuous deployment to Azure or private cloud systems with the aid of a generated manifest file that describes your services, your components, your infrastructure. And here on the list, we have dashboard. So .NET Aspire it offers an interactive UI that enables you to monitor your application's performance. You can monitor metrics, traces, logs from your system. It's more of like a unified observability dashboard. And finally, the custom resource command. So this feature enables developers to define specific actions for resources within the .NET Aspire environment, enhancing control and automation. Let's say you're trying to demo an application and you just want to make it of ClickUps, whereby you click and you don't want to like think so much about developing the UI for some features, maybe a seeding feature. You don't want to call an endpoint. You don't want to click on a button to seed your database. So .NET Aspire offers this custom resource command feature where you can define sets of commands that can interact with a particular resource or components that's connected in your .NET Aspire environment. So with that, you can maybe seed a database, seed a queue, stuff like that. You can turn off some services to test how your system reacts. So it just makes development be quite seamless and easy. So getting started with .NET Aspire, in today's session, we're going to be making use of VS Code, .NET 9 SDK, C# Dev Kit extension, and also for you to have this scaffolding feature of .NET Aspire template in your VS Code, you will need to run the command .NET new install aspire.project templates. And to follow along with me in the project, we're going to be wiring of the .NET Aspire. You can clone this project or just open it on GitHub, which is samchinedisu.ky/paste sync. So what are we going to be building? We will be using .NET Aspire to seamlessly connect the two I developed with .NET Core, React, and Redis for storage. This tool enables real-time syncing of content in a text editor across multiple web instances. So let me demo the application. So I'll cd into my backend, then I'll hit run. Okay, so now this backend architecture or this backend application rather, it depends on Redis to be running. So before I run it, I'll have to turn on and execute my Redis container. So let me get it running. It's going to be listening on 6379, the default port of Redis. 6379. Okay, I have it running. So next I can run .NET run. Cool. So I have my project running. The next thing I want to do is to open a new terminal to kickstart my front-end project. So I'll feed into the front-end directory, and then I'll execute this command, npm run dev. And here you go, I have my React application running. So let me open this here. So what this application does is that it syncs my editor across multiple instances. So if I click on generate board, it redirects me to this text editor. And let me open two instances of this text editor. So let me copy the URL. So Edge has this cool feature that enables you to split your web page. So you can have two instances of a web page on the same window. So if I type, you can see these two web pages, they are just the same. They are making use of the same URL. So let's say I have one on my local system and I share this link to a friend. I could actually type in and have this text replicate itself in real time on the other editor. So In case you're wondering what is actually powering this real-time feature underneath it is Signal R. So Signal R is a WebSocket framework or tool within built into .NET ASP.NET Core. So I actually click on this icon here, the content, my clipboard. So you can see I can actually paste it here. It's copied. I could also manually click on save. But the way I wrote out this application is as you type in real time, it saves and syncs across. Okay, so let's get into wiring this system using ASP.NET Core in Aspire. So let's go back to my VS Code. So starting up this application, you could see that I actually went first. I opened a terminal. I kickstarted my, sorry, I actually went to my Docker application. I kickstarted my Redis container. After doing that, I opened the terminal. I executed the command to run my backend server. And after doing that, I opened a new terminal to execute a command to run my front-end React application. So now the benefit of .NET Aspire is that it enables me to execute a single command, and .NET Aspire will wire up every single thing for me to kickstart to run a new instance of Redis for me. To also set up my backend server in ASP.NET Core and also set up my front-end application in React. It just does the stuff for us. So let's convert this application into a .NET Aspire system. Let me branch out from here. First of all, let me stop this. Stop this. Then I also want to stop my container. Yeah, I can delete it. Cool. So let me create a new branch. Let me call it Aspire demo. Let me call it Aspire demo. So now we are in a new branch called Aspire demo. So we're going to fire up this system to make use of .NET Aspire. So to do that, I'll click on the Solution Explorer. So I'll click on my projects, or my solution rather, Aspire test. Now I'll click on Add .NET Aspire orchestration. So to ask me which project I want to hook up. I'll click my backend, I'll check this, I'll click on OK. Then it's asking me, what should we name your app hosts? I think this is okay. App host is okay for me. Service default, I think that is okay. Yeah, so it's fire up everything for me. Okay, cool. So it has set up my app host. So this app host is the project that manages the life cycle of all the components. This is where the orchestration takes place. And then this service default is just an extension that defines some boilerplate telemetry and observability methods that you could use to enable telemetry in your system. So let's go to the app host. So yeah, the app host is currently empty. So the next thing I want to do is just to execute this app host. Let's see what .NET Aspire looks like without any projects running in it. So I'll click on my F5 to debug. Oh, I'm missing something. It's fine. So I'll click here. What am I missing? Okay. Debug, start new instance. Okay, so the net aspire is running now, and you can see. So let me just explain the parts of this aspire dashboard. So the resources, this is where you see a list of connected or available resources or components, maybe your backend, your front end, your databases, your queues. But we've not hooked up our resources here, so it's kind of empty. The next thing here is the console. This is where you see consoles of your resources, the logs of your resources. I mean, this is where you see structured logs. And here, this is where you see your traces. And here in metrics, you see the metrics of the application. So we have nothing running here. So let's go back to VS Code and set things up. Okay. Let me stop this. Cool. Nice. So let me go back to the app post. Set things up. Okay. So we're going to be making use of some NuGet packages, some integrations, so that we can enable seamless availability of Redis in our system. So we're going to make use of, let me see. We're going to make use of aspire.hosting.redis. So let me install this, these dependencies. I can get package. So let's install aspire.hosting.redis. Click on enter. Yeah, I want the latest. Cool, it's added. Let me add another one. The next thing we're going to add here is we're going to add the Node.js Aspire hosting integration or NuGet package. So aspire.hosting.node.js. Yep, latest as well. Okay, so I think we have these dependencies available now. So let's wire them up. So let me set up Redis first. So I'll see cache. Let me see. I'll say var cache equals to user.add Redis. And I'll set the resource name. Let's call it cache. And let's also add, so this integration, Redis integration enables you to also add a Redis Insights system or application so that you can monitor how data packets flow into your Redis messaging queue or your Redis memory queue. So with this extension, with Redis Insights, you can have Redis Insights available. This is so simple and seamless. Then the next thing I'm going to set up is my backend API. I'll just say backend API equals to user.add projects. So the data aspire is source generator to create this these typings of our project available projects for us. So I can find my backend project under the project dot and then the name of the project. So this is backend. Then I'll set the name of the resource. I'll call it backend. That's fine. So now I want my backend to depend on Redis. So I'll use this build up method to say with reference. So with reference method enables you to reference dependencies. So it's going to depend on the cache. Cool. So I have this running. So before I go into setting up the front end aspect of things, let's run this Aspire host again to see if this cache resource and this backend API resource, let's see if it's going to be available on the dashboard. So I'll just click on app host, debug, create new instance. I think I'm missing something. Okay, cool. So now you can see we have the cache system available. We have this cache resource. We also have the cache insights. So this just sets up Redis Insight for us. You might be asking, how is it able to like set up Redis Insight and install or download all these images so quickly? And that is because I've already run it before. So it's making use of cached images to execute this. But if there's a new system, to take some time to download images and get it running. So if I click on, let me click on this insight. So there's an exposed endpoint. If I click on this endpoint, you see that it just redirects me to this web page, this UI front-end environment where I can interact with my Redis instance. So you can see I can actually load data types. I can add my own data manually if I want. So yeah, we have it running here. If I click on console, you see that I have my backend resource available. I can see my consoles. I can see my logs here. If I click on structured, I could also see, I don't have structured log at the moment. If I click on traces, I don't have any trace. And if I click on metrics, I have no metrics. Probably when I make an API request, all these things will be populated. So that is fair enough. Let's go back to VS Code and stop the debugger. So cool. You can see that the system is running. The next thing we are going to hook up is our front end. So to do that, I'll just say bar, let me check what I wrote here. So to do that, I'll just say bar front end, then I'll say builder dot add project, and I'll say projects dot, okay, sorry. The front end is not a C# project, so I'll make use of the npm integration. So I'll say add npm app. Then the first parameter here will be the name of the resource. I'll call it front end. And then the second parameter is just location of the node project. So it's located in this directory. Then the last thing here would be the command that you want the npm project to start out with. So I want it to execute npm run dev. So I'll just put the dev parameter or argument. So that is it. But then the data Aspire enables us to like set dependencies like tight coupling. This enables us to like tight couple dependencies in the sense that a resource can wait for another resource to be ready before it starts up. So I want backend API resource to not start up until the cache is ready. So to do that, I will add some configurations. I'll say wait for, I want to wait for cache. And then the final thing here, I want to expose an endpoint. So I'll say with HTTP endpoint, then I'll name the endpoint, let me call it backend. And then I'll set the port to be 5,000. Cool. So next, let's finish wiring up the front end. So I'll say dot with reference. I want to reference the backend API. And I want to expose and HTTP endpoint as well. I'll say with HTTP endpoint. And then I want to set an environmental variable so that my application, because one thing you should understand is that .NET Aspire makes use of a proxy system to interact with its dependencies or communicate. So I want the underlying npm project to run using a certain port to listen from a certain point. Sorry, from a certain port. So to do that, I'll set an environmental variable here. So an environment variable of ports, I'll set it here. I'll call it ports, and then I will set port to 3000. So this will set up my npm front-end project to listen from 3000. What else am I waiting? Okay, then I want to wait for my backend to be executed or to be running. I want my backend to be running first before my front end starts running. So I'll say wait for backend API. And that is it. So here you go. It's quite easy to set up. And let's test it out. Let's see if this would work. Let's see if we are going to see the backend project. So I'll click on Aspire Host, I'll click on debug, start new instance. Okay. So you can see that we have the front end running and it's exposed at 3000. But when I click on 3000, it runs. You can see that it runs, right? Cool. Um, let's see the logs as well. Let's see the logs. Console. Uh, let's see the logs of our front end. So it's actually proxying. It's actually proxying the request from 3000 to this port 32406. But let's say I want to start out. I want this my server, my front end application to listen at port 3000. Let me show you how to set that up. So I'll click on my VS Code. I'll go back to. Wait, let me stop the debugger. Stop the debugger. I'll go to my front end and I'll click on Bytes. I'll click on Bytes. Okay, so you can see that. Oh, hold on. Okay, so you can see that I actually set this up anyway. I forgot to remove it. So you can see that the port is set here. So in this byte config, there is a key under the server object. There's a key of ports, and this is where you set the ports that you want your React application to run from. So I set it here, and that's how to connect them. So the next thing I want to do is I want my backend application to make use of the Redis that was set up here. So I set up my Redis here, but this Redis is not yet available. It's available in my backend, but my backend isn't yet using it. So let me show what I mean. Let me show what I mean. So if I click on my backend, this is where I set up the service configuration, the connection string to my Redis application. And it's making use of this key string to connect. But this is not what I want. I want it to make use of the injected dependency from the app host. So to do that, I will have to install a client Aspire application for Redis so that my backend will make use of the injected configuration from the app host. So to do that, let me see what I'm going to install. So to do that, I'm going to be installing the Aspire Stack Exchange Redis distributed caching nuggets. So let me do that. Click on this. Then I'll type aspire.exchange.redis.distributed caching. Let's see. Cool. So I want the latest version and I'll click on .NET 9, version 9. So I have it running now. So going back to my backend, let me go back to my backend. This is my backend. I don't want to make use of this connection string. I want to make use of the injection connection string that's injected into this application from app host. So to do that, I will just do builder dot add redis distributed cache. Then for me to have access to the cache, the redis connection string, I'll just make use of the resource name. So here in my app host, I have use of cache as the resource name. So here I'll set that as well as the name. I'll say connection name. Gosh, cool. So I think that is all. Then there is something I'm missing. So there's no telemetry available at the moment in this system, and that is because I've not added this extension. So to add this extension, I would click here. I'll click my backend, and then I'll just do builder dot add services default. And that is all. We have observability available now in our backend system. So let's try and run this again. So I'll click on app hosts, then I'll click on debug, start instance. Okay. So now let's click through to see how our services are able to get the connection string. So how is the backend actually able to obtain a connection string of this cache? So what happens is that the integrations inject some environment variables into the project during startup. So if I click on this project, if I scroll down, I can see connection strings cache. So this is the injection that is being made. So it makes use of the name of the resource. So in the background, what happens is that what happens is that where is that? Yeah, is that this integration looks for that connection string that has the name of cache, and then it files up everything, the Redis system. Then also, if you go into the front end, if we scroll down, you can see that we have ports under environment variable section. We have the ports environment variable. So this defines the port that the backend would start from. Uh, what else? What else? What else am I missing? Okay, and then you can also see the backend here. So this is the backend. You can see the HTTP backend URL and also the HPS backend URL. So this is for you to like obtain this configuration, you can just use process.env and then look out for this key, this environment key to obtain the backend URL. Then one other thing that Aspire offers is that you can actually start and stop your resources on the dashboard. Instead of going to your terminal, I can just click on stop. I can terminate my backend and the backend stops. You can see it's not running. If I click on start, it starts as well. So, okay, now let me click on this front end to see. So you can see the front end is working. Now I'm in the dashboard, everything is working. Now, what if, and the way I design this front end is that once you go to this URL, this address, bot slash the generated random board, you can see the state there. What if I just want to seed a custom page with a custom data without clicking through my UI? So that is where custom resource comes in. So let's look at the custom resource feature in .NET Aspire. So I'll go back to my VS Code and I think this is small. Yeah, I think it's better this way. So to do that, let me close this debugger and I can focus on outputs now. So I want to create, I want to create a file, a class. I want the name of the class to be Redis resource builder extension. So let me do that. Redis resource builder extension. You could actually call it anything though. Redis resource builder extension. And I want the namespace to be under the aspire.hosting namespace or apphost.hosting namespace. I think it's fine. Then let me set this up. So I want this to be a static class so I can define my extension. So what I just want to do is I just want to add a button on my Aspire dashboard that enables me to just click on it and then have my Redis seeded with some default data or a custom data. So let's get this started. So the first thing I want to do is to define the custom. I want to define the custom method, the custom extension method. So let's view the Redis resource. So the name of the extension method, I'll call it with add custom page. Then I'll define this. So add resource builder Redis resource builder. So this is where I now define the commands. I say with command. So I'll define the name of the command. I want the name, what to be displayed on. Okay, I want the name of the command to be custom page. Let it just be called custom page. But then what will be displayed on the dashboard? That's where you define the display name. So I want it to be custom space page. And then I want to define the command that's actually executed. So context. I'm yet to define this function, but let's call it on run add custom page. And then I'll pass in the builder and I'll pass in context. So the next thing is update state. So this method is what is called when the state of the system, let's say your Redis is turned off. So if your Redis is not available and it's down, we don't want this command to be clickable on the UI. So this method this update state method definition is where you handle that. So I'll explain what I mean as we go on. So I'll call it resource updates. And finally, the icon. What kind of icon, what shape of icon would you like for this command to bear? So I actually choose add square. So if you're asking, how do I know the name of this icon? .NET Aspire is built on the Fluent UI library or framework. So you could actually go to, let me show you. You can actually go to react.fluentui.dev. Let me show you here. So this is this UI, and there's the icon section. So I can actually look out for different UI. Like look out for car. Is there a car here? So there's a car here, but I just want the add square. The add square. So that's what I call it. Or is it Fluent Blazor? I think you can also get this from Fluent Blazor. If I check Fluent Blazor icons, Fluent UI icons. Yeah. So this should be the website of Fluent Blazor, UI Blazor. It might take a while to load. Okay, that was fast. That was fast. I can search here for icons and emojis. Icon. Okay, cool. So this is actually why I searched out, because this is the UI library that powers ASP.NET, .NET Aspire. Aspire is built using this Fluent UI Blazor library. So this is why I had to find or search for icons. So this is why I found the Add Square icons. I just went to all. So you can see it has various sizes. So I chose Add Square. So let me go back to this. So that is how I chose Add Square. So next, let's define this. Let's define this this method. So generate method. Yeah, cool. So let's populate it. So the first thing I want to do is to retrieve the connection string so that I can actually interact with the Redis resource. I'll say connection string. This is asynchronous, so I'll have to wait. Builder.resource.get connections string async. So if it's null, I just want to throw an error because I want to throw an exception because it's useless. I can't do anything at this moment. Next, if it's available, we could create a connection to the Redis storage. So, yep, connection multiplexer. And I want to go into the deep. I want to create a DB variable. I want to create a connection to database. And I want to write my custom data into the database. So hash set async. So based on design, I made the React application to work in such a way that the key that is used to set the data or add the data entry into Redis is actually a path parameter on the front end. So if I navigate to board/custom page, I should be able to retrieve the data that is here. So I'll click on custom page. I'll type custom page. Then I just want one entry. Based on how the distributed cache works, it makes use of the data key to retrieve its data. So I'll say this is just a custom data. So let's check it out. And finally, I'll return a success command. I'll say return command results.success. Cool. So we have this one set. The final thing to wire up here is this on update resource state command. So I'll generate the method and then wire it up. So I'll say if context dot resource snapshot dot health status is equals to health status dot ld. So if it's ld, I want the command to be enabled on the UI. So I'll say return resource command states dot enabled. That is if Redis is running, I want this command to be enabled on the UI. And if it's not running, I want it to be disabled. So we're going to look at the effect of this on the UI. I think I'm missing something. Okay. Yeah, I'm supposed to return the builder here. So return builder. And okay, cool. So let's run this app host again and see if we're going to be able to. Okay, I've not wired this up yet with my Redis resource. So I'll click on the program file, and then here I'll say with add custom page, I'll call it. So now it's hooked up. This command is hooked up to the Redis resource. So let me run my service again, my app host service. I'll click on start new instance. And let me close all these things. Retry. Yeah. So now we can see that the Redis cache is running. And to be able to see this command in the UI, I'll click on these three dots here, this actions dots, I'll click on it. I can see I have this command states custom page. You can see the icon, the custom icon that we added, the plus, the art square icon. You can see it here. So let's open our front end and test out this custom action or custom command that I defined. So I'll click on the front end UI URL. I'll click on generate board, and let's go to custom page. If I click on custom page, you see that there's nothing here. But let me see data into this page. So all I have to do is to come to this cache. I'll click on custom page. You can see custom page succeeded. If I refresh this, I should be able to see the custom data or the predefined data available here. So I click on refresh. You can see I have my data, which I defined, um, here. So this data is now available here. So that is it. So one other thing I might be asking is, isn't .NET Aspire just tied to a Microsoft infrastructure or ecosystem? The answer is no. So .NET Aspire offers the ability to like create a manifest file. So this manifest file defines or outlines your service composition, your system of composition. So with it, you can create a tool that reads the data in this manifest file and then uses that to set up maybe your deployment pipelines or services that you need in your production environment. So let me show you what the manifest file looks like. So I'll go back to VS Code. Let me open a new terminal. I want to be sure I'm in the right direction. Okay. So to execute the command, I'll just do .NET from project, then my app host part, that's the app host slash slash app host.cs code. Then I'll say publisher, I'll add the publisher flag and set it to manifest. Then I'll set the output part of the manifest. I'll say output part, I'll set it to, what will I set it to? Let me set it to deployment.json. So let me run this. So you can see, let me close this Solution Explorer. If I click on this, my workspace, deployments. Where I will set this? Why it's not here? Where is the JSON file? Coming. Okay, so this is the, I'm not okay with the location of this. So let me just delete it. I want it to be in the roots of my project. So let me just cd out of this location or directly. Yeah, this looks okay. So let me run the command again. And now I have it in the roots. So it's actually on the roots of my project. So I click on deployment.json. You can see the manifest file. So this outlines my service composition, outlines my dependencies, the exposed endpoints and stuff like that. So you can see, you can also see executable commands. And also, .NET Aspire enables you to like select, you can specifically select the services or resources that you want to be exposed in this deployment or manifest file. So if I click on my backend, so currently you can see that everything is just thrown out into this deployment manifest file. You can see that I have my cache resource, I have my backend resource, I have my front end resource. So let's prevent front end from being outputted in this manifest file. So I'll go to my app host, I'll click on program, and then to do that, to exclude the front end, all I have to do is to just add another method. I'll say exclude from manifest. So if I execute this manifest generation command again, we should not see this front end there. So if I click on it, you see we don't have front end. The only thing that is here is just cache and backend. Aspire offers lots of features, like if you're worried about having your data being lost anytime you build your Aspire application, orchestration application, you could actually set up mounts, Docker volumes, so that your data is not lost. But we're not going to get into that here. So I think we've come to the end of this workshop on an overview of .NET Aspire. I think it's a pretty cool tool. You could use it not just for .NET based projects, but anything, any kind of project, any executable, any Docker file project. So it's kind of generic as well, and not just tied to .NET environment. Um, yeah, so we're done with this, and thank you for having me. So to connect with me, you can connect on X. My handle is sparkblooms. I write on my blog sparkblooms.com, and you can also connect on LinkedIn using my name Samson Amgo. So thanks for watching to the end of this episode. I do hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're right on time, so we maybe will have room for one question. I'm gonna pop it here on the screen. Auto-generate
Auto-
endpoint. Yeah, you can read it. Uh,
yeah, auto-generate endpoints JSON using reflection is another option, isn't it? Isn't it? Well, you could actually do that. You could auto-generate. You could use resource source generation for that. A lot of things available by doing reflection, by doing using source generation. Lots of auto-generating options for you.
Great. We have another one. Another one. I think you answered it, but I'll read it again.
Yeah,
Can the
yeah.
front
You can deploy. You can actually deploy to Azure using .NET Aspire, but we not get into deployment Azure in this section. But you can.
Okay, there's another one. I think it's the same one.
But if I want to deploy to the cloud, you can use AZCL to generate the endpoint by the bicep file. You can generate using bicep, but when dealing with, I think underneath it, it's create the manifest file is used to create a biceps definition for you, which sets up your infrastructure. So it's just different steps of abstractions.
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you very much, Samsung, for joining us today. It was a great session. Everyone, you can reach Samsung here on you have his contact information for any more questions. And that's it. Thank you very much.